Good morning, Monanto. How are you all? All good? So, today we are going to study a very interesting topic, that is force. Observe these pictures carefully. Do you see a push or a pull? Yes. So, force is simply a push or a pull. So we can go to another force situation that we had already came across in our daily life. So we can observe these pictures carefully. In these figures, driving the doll, catching a ball, racing in the wind, movement of the car while playing badminton. In all these four situations, the forces are happening. So, other than a push or pull, a force can be defined as something that could change the size, shape, volume, direction of state of rest or state of motion of an object. So we had already know what a force is, or how can a force simply define, or else we can define it a most identic way. Force could be classified in numerous ways and numerous methods, but basically force could be classified into two, that is contact and non-contact. As the name says, the force is happening due to the contact between the surfaces of the object is generally called as or termed as contact force. Whereas the non-contact force is termed as when the object surfaces are doesn't coming in contact, that kind of force is called non-contact force. There are a lot of forces that categorized under contact force and non-contact forces according to their surface interactions, like a touch or a repulsion or attraction. There is given an applied force, spring force, drag force, frictional force, normal force, gravitational force, electric force, magnetic force, and there are a lot more. When a force is applied on an object, it can be termed as an applied force. Likewise, the force acting by a spring is called a spring force. The very next is frictional force. The force is generated by two surfaces that contact and slide against each other is called frictional force. The force that surface exert to prevent solid object from passing through each other is the normal force. Normal force is a contact force. The next is electrostatic force. The forces are attractive or repulsive forces between particles that are caused by their electric charges. Magnetic force is an attraction or repulsion that arises between electrically charged particles because of their motion. This is a non contact force. The very next is gravitational force. It is a non contact force. The gravitational force is a force that attracts any two objects with a mass. Two masses exert on each other are always attractive, meaning the forces pull the object towards each other. The more massive one or both of the masses are, the stronger the gravitational forces are. The further apart the center of the mass. By understanding each and every force given here, you can categorize each kind of force under the two basic types of force, that is contact and non-contact. Under the contact force, we get applied force, spring force, drag force, frictional force, and also the normal forces. When the surfaces are in contact, we can constitute magnetic force, electric force, gravitational force under the category of non-contact forces. So now we are moving to yet another important contact force in our daily life we came across, that is frictional force. What do you observe in the picture? A guy slipped on the floor where some water is spilled. Have you ever slipped on the floor? What do you think? The reason behind the slipping. So let's follow the reason behind this through this chapter. Take a look at the figure which shows that a man walking smoothly on a rod. What's the difference between the two images have been shown here? When the two surfaces, that is, the floor surface and the floor surface, are in contact with each other, they get interlocked. When we try to move a body applying a force parallel to their surfaces, an opposing force is experienced, and this is frictional force. When a body moves or tends to move on another surface of another body, a force is experienced parallel to the surfaces, which opposes the relative motion between them. This is frictional force. So now you know why the guy slipped the floor, because there is no frictional force or the opposing force in the lock the surface of his foot and the floor. Like force, we can categorize this friction as two rolling and sliding friction. What is happening in these two pictures? There are two boxes, and that two boxes is moved in at two methods. And now we can generalize types of friction as rolling as well as sliding friction. The two men are pushing the box forward. When the tires are used, the movement is easy, simpler, and also it becomes speedy. But in the case of the first picture, the box is so hard to push by the man. And here, the box is not fixed with any tires also. Friction occurs due to sliding is called sliding friction. Sliding friction is the force that resists the motion of one surface sliding over another. Rolling friction is caused when a surface rolls over another surface. By comparing the two friction, we can say that sliding friction is greater than rolling friction. So now you know what is a rolling friction and sliding friction. With that knowledge, we can tabulate or we can mark the situation as rolling or sliding. When you light the matchstick, you slide the stick on the surfaces of the matchbox. Thereby, it is a sliding friction. Here is a portion of a tire moving on a rod. Here is the tire is rolling, so the friction is caused by here is rolling friction. See, there are a lot of children playing ice skating. Here, the surfaces are sliding over another, so this is an example of sliding friction. In our daily life, we used to write on different textbooks, notebooks, etc. So sliding the pen on the notebook is an example of sliding friction. So now you know the basic idea about rolling and sliding friction. There are a lot more application for these two kind of frictions. By analyzing the application level of friction, we can differentiate as rolling and sliding. So we came across what is friction, types of friction. So now we are going to the topic that what is the way to reduce friction? Does friction have only merits? No way. It also have demerits. So to avoid friction, we have so many methods. So next we are moving to the session to know what are the ways to reduce friction. So there are certain ways to reduce friction. One of the way to reduce friction is by using the lubricants. Lubricants are the substances which is used to reduce friction during the time of contact between two surfaces. It also reduces friction. Lubrications are used to avoid the wear and tear of the surfaces and also reduce heat production. The engine oil, lubricating oil for machines, synovial fluid on the joints of bones, etc. are some of the examples of lubricants. Friction can be reduced by using lubricants like powders or oils and grease, using rollers or wheels, using ball bearings. We sprinkle powder on a carom ball to reduce friction. Oil or grease is applied between moving parts of a machines to reduce friction. Wheels are used in vehicles to reduce friction. The ball bearings are used in ceiling fans, bicycles, and vehicles to reduce friction. So these are some of the ways to reduce friction. What do you observe from this picture? Do you see a shape? Yes, right? So the shaping for reducing friction. For reducing the friction, we used to shape the objects, and this process is called streamlining. The streamlined shape reduces the fluid viscosity. The water and the air is collectively known as fluid in physics. A streamlined bullet shape has the least resistance to water or air. It is no coincidence that the fastest swimming fish like tuna have this body shape. These are the examples for streamlining. So from knowing about the force, we came across contact and non-contact force, and especially we discussed about the contact force, frictional force. So now it's time to recall the topic and quest our brain. So now try to answer these questions from your knowledge and understanding from our session about this e-content. So thank you everyone for listening my e-content. This e-content is solemnly prepared for my B.Ed curriculum by Amina Nasneem of Physical Science.